I've seen a lot of people on YouTube and Instagram claiming to make all this money just using their voice online, and I called them out on their BS. But I also thought I need to give it a try and see for myself. Like, could I make anything? Could I even make it worth my time, or would I even be impressed? So I downloaded 5 of the most famous applications that claim to pay you for speaking into the microphone without a schedule on your own. Some of them actually kinda worked, but you're not gonna pay for a Lamborghini and you're not gonna get rich from this. Let's keep it real, and no results are guaranteed whatsoever. I'm just trying and sharing what happened. So first up is gonna be user interviews. Now, whenever a site claims that you can make easy money, run. It's a scam, I've been there, I know. Especially surveys. They just never pay and they only waste your precious time. But user interviews is different. Now, they don't do surveys, they do research studies. And they've done some serious numbers actually. Now, first of all, the reason why they can afford to apparently pay so well is because of their partnerships. They don't do BS random studies, they work with top companies like Adobe, Spotify, Pinterest, and Amazon. And so enough talk, here's the real website. We're gonna select online because I don't wanna leave my house, and we're gonna select study type interview and focus groups. And look, let me just scroll through some of these. They take about 1 hour each, and all you do is join, answer some questions, speak, and you get paid. Simple as that. Okay, now for the cons, and I'm gonna be brutally honest, it's really a hit or miss. I was personally able to get 1 study, with the reward being around 50, but that is after applying to like numerous studies, and there are different screenings, there are requirements, and to be perfectly honest, for most studies on the platform, you're not even gonna be eligible for them, because they only take people in marketing or medicine or whatever. And that really sucks. I was kinda disappointed. Still, it gets an 8 out of 10 score from me. Now next up is a site called FreeCash. Now you know what they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch. But this is probably as close to a free lunch as you can get. Okay, now the name is pretty shady. Like, what are they, like a charity? No. They claim to pay you for speaking. Is it true? I don't know. I was really suspicious and I thought, okay, that's another scam site, but they have a 4.8 star rating on Trustpilot from over 200,000 reviews, which is actually really good. And they also have over 10 million downloads on the Google Play Store, with the average rating being 4.7 there as well. Now, I'm gonna tell you what happened, but first, how does the system actually work? Now, they allow regular accounts, gift cards, PayPal, and even Bitcoin and crypto for their withdrawal system. And what I found interesting as well is they offer no delays on PayPal and crypto, assuming that you have anything to withdraw in the first place. Because if you don't make any money, you can't take any money out either. Wow. So what happened then? Okay, it did kind of work, but I had to do way more work than I expected. And it's kind of like these testing gig sites where you test a game, a website, an app, whatever. And I got to record my screen and my voice for about 10 minutes, speaking and telling them what I experienced and how I felt on the website. Because they want to know like what other people think about the site. It's kind of like a feedback system. Now, you don't need a professional mic or a camera. I was kind of worried about that, but just make sure you put the vacuum cleaner a little bit away from your mic this time, so you know they can actually hear what you have to say. So what happened and what were my big, amazing results? The site made me about $5. $5. At the same time though, it was only 10 minutes, so it was a pretty good deal. But you know, yeah. The hourly rate seemed pretty decent on paper, but in reality, you don't actually have jobs back to back, and so it definitely pays less than you think. Keep real expectations. That's what we're all about on this channel. And the awkward thing is I also really had to dig to find the right tasks, but for how flexible and simple it is, I'd still give it about an 8.5 out of 10 if we compare it to other options. Again, it totally depends on the tasks that you get. Okay, next up is gonna be Nevo, and their tagline is "Get paid to shape the future. Who gives a crap? How can I make some money?" So long story short, Nevo is AI training, and basically they make the already scary good AI into something even better that can just eat us as humans. Using your human input for it, great. Bizarre. Now, usually AI jobs like data labeling and all that crap pay next to nothing. So I heard Nevo was different and that's why I checked them out. But their reviews are actually terrible. Like, we're talking 2 stars from nearly 1,000 reviews. That is not good. That is really, really bad. Why are people still promoting it, saying it's the best thing ever? Well, I gave it a try for myself to see, is it actually worth it, or are the reviews accurate? I joined one of their speech projects where you had to read some text and say it out loud, turning the text into an audio file. And at first I thought, okay, this is really easy, I'm just reading a simple text. But after 20 minutes of reading, I gave up because I realized something awful. Something that actually surprised me. Okay, I'm gonna stop with all the clickbait. Let me just tell you what happened. So the rewards were just adding up way too slowly. It just wasn't working. And I also found some reviews about people not getting paid on time or not, getting what they worked for. And that kind of freaked me out because we both know that there are some sites out there who do shady things like this. So you have to be aware of that. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about the site in particular. I just want you and our community to always be safe. So anyway, I realized I had better things to do, other sites to try, like the one up next. 6 out of 10. Okay, so now it's time for one of my personal favorites, which is Respondent. Now, Respondent claims to pay users for speaking out, just about what they think about companies and their products. But we're not talking about any of that usual crap. See for yourself, these studies were available to me when I checked for myself. Don't come at me like, oh, when I checked, it looked very different. That's kind of the point. The studies come and go, just like the job market. You're not gonna find the same jobs as I did like a month ago. So Respondent also works with Canva, Anthropic, Microsoft, Stripe, and a lot of different top tier companies, which is how they're able to pay you as a survey taker or as a study participant, which is kind of the same thing. Now, they also have a 4.4 star rating on Trustpilot from about 1,000 reviews, which is very, very good. So on paper, everything looks good about the site, but in reality, you guys know that I never trust anything, so let's find out. So I signed up to the site, filled out my profile, and the rest is history. Now, what I like about the page is I can quickly filter and see studies that pay different amounts. So if I'm just interested in one particular category, or I only want to do things that pay over a certain amount, I can do that. But the most important thing when using Respondent is choosing consumer or professional. Now, consumer, everybody's a consumer. We all consume things, but only specific people with certain experience can take professional studies, of course, because it's like things in the medical field or in finance. So keep that in mind. So what I did is I took one about social media marketing tools and I hopped on the call, and it took about 30 to 40 minutes to complete. I got paid a fair amount as they stated, which is actually really, really nice. But here's the problem, okay? So if I would have made this video and just told you about this, you would have been really happy and thought everything is perfect. But what you didn't see were all of my applications. Now, I sent a ton of applications, and that means my salary was not nearly as high as you think. It took a lot of time outside of the actual job just to get the job itself, and then the job was like 1 hour. So it's not steady and it pays much less than you think. Still, definitely one of the better options out there. So 8 out of 10. Okay, next up is gonna be CrowdGen. And I've actually done this one myself years ago when I was first trying to make something. So CrowdGen is part of Appen, one of those big, massive remote online companies. They're so big that you can literally buy shares in the company on the stock market if you want to. But this is very different. They have these jobs called voice recording contributor. And so basically what it is, it's voice recording projects, and they have different names. You can find a list yourself somewhere here. But anyway, I tried this, and does it work? Yeah, kind of. I was able to join a project and make a little bit of money. Now, yes, it is completely flexible. That hasn't changed since I tried it. The problem is many of these contracts are super short. I had this problem myself. They only want your voice for like an hour or two, and that's not gonna pay much at all. Like, you want something long-term, consistent that you can do, that's reliable. But if you manage to find a long-term gig on the site, it could actually be pretty good. The thing is, I'm sorry to be the very annoying negative guy, but the pay is mediocre at best. Now, in 2022, they claim to have distributed a very large amount to their users, but if we actually look at the real number or the average, I couldn't find that. So what I suspect is they have a lot of users and they pay every user very, very little, which could tell you it's not that great. Overall, decent as a backup option, so 6 out of 10. I also found a lot more remote jobs in writing, speaking, and just watching videos. Click this video to see all of them, and I'll see you there.